Atlanta started to become a very interesting place, to say the least. And I was onto the entertainment path. And after I had Jacob, uh, my neighbors, their family owned a entertainment company, but it was like they did corporate events. The oldest brother had gone to film school. So he said, hey, maybe you could come help us do some marketing for our film company. And I didn't know anything really about film at that time, and it was interesting enough. They had like there were VHS tapes and 3/4 inch tapes. And the first time I ever went to even talk to an ad agency to show them our reel, I remember like just in the car going, the VHS is small, the 3/4 inch is the bigger one. Don't forget, don't forget. So, um, once again, so I sort of became like self taught in what that all meant. And then we were contacted by a young black director by the name of Keith Ward. He was looking for a company to work with him, and we had called they had called their company LaRue Motion Pictures. So I think he thought they were a little more advanced or ahead than he was. And someone else had told him that I was working there and that I used to work with Warner Brothers, and he wanted to get some more. He wanted to get music video work. And at that time, just to paint the picture, music videos are pretty much produced by a company called Propaganda, which ultimately is where Dominique Center came from, and Antoine Fuqua, and all these like really big, now big actually, directors. So Keith had been writing some treatments and submitting himself for a couple of videos, and his thing was like, look, can you help me, like, I know you work with Warner Brothers and you know a lot of the artists, local artists, or basically artists around town, and maybe you could help, we could get to the managers and we could land some of the videos. And so I was like, okay, what actually would that make me? And he said, my producer. And I actually didn't know what that meant, but I said okay because it just sounded okay. And basically, I went and got a book called What a Producer Does, and I basically cracked the code. I read the book. I figured out exactly what that job entailed. I actually pretended that I worked for the LaRue's other company and called another production company, and told them we wanted to do a commercial, and they sent us a budget. And then I basically rebuilt their budget so that we would have a budget template. I just rebuilt it in Excel. So we were off to the races of bidding on jobs to do music videos. And the first video that we did for a major artist was Arrested Development. We did Everyday People, and then we also did the Mr. Window video. We went on to be able to do a TLC video. We did EPKs for some of the newer artists, and then we did Brandi's first video ever. I just remember like landing in LA, and for us it felt like we made it. Like, here we are, our first video. Brandi was our first video in Los Angeles. And we land on the set, and there's a crane and Moscow lights, and it was just amazing at this big ranch. And I remember having to ask her to change. And I said, okay, just change your shirt right now. And she just looked at me in shock. And her mother was like, you need to leave. And I said, why? I need her to change. I just need to get her back out there because we're losing the light. And she was like, I'm 14. I don't change my clothes in front of people. And I said, oh, I'm so sorry.
Tracey's time as a music video producer was very exciting. I mean, from the outside looking in, she was helping to shape pop or R&B culture. So I think as she is today, very strong, very driven, purposeful, she was that way, over 20 years ago.
I met Tracey Baker about 25 years ago. I was a set PA on her music videos that she was producing for Keith Ward. I think that was also around the time that I was hustling and peddling my way trying to be a music video director. So I went from production assistant to electrician, carried around my music video reel in my back pocket, and I remember giving it to Keith Ward, who Tracey worked very closely with back then, and giving it to her. And eventually, after being persistent and really just, trying to sell myself as a director, I finally got a shot. Tracey brought me into her fold and said, you know what, you need to be an assistant director. And I said, wait, assistant director? That has a lot of, a lot of duties. I don't know if I can handle that. But, she threw me into the fire on a music video, and that's what I did. And, that was kind of the beginning of my relationship with Tracey.
Keith and I we seemed young, I think, and I think that was part of why the artists and the managers kind of liked us. Well, and also we would do it at less than the big guys would do it because we wanted the opportunity and we wanted to build a business in Atlanta. And the equipment houses and other people support us. Even Kodak gave us film to really help us sort of to build this infrastructure of production in Atlanta outside of the commercial outfit. That was like the big, that was my swell moment in the business, just being able to do that. And ultimately, Keith and I went on to produce commercials as well. We really was a part of birthing even the whole Obey Your Thirst campaign with Sprite. We did that with Pete Rock and CL Smooth and Red Alert and MC Shan and KRS-One, and just sort of brought hip hop to that culture. At the same time, people liked us and wanted to work with us, and then we did stuff with McDonald's and other brands and Georgia Lottery, because at the time there wasn't Georgia Lottery, and then Georgia Lottery came along. And what's interesting about that was that those commercials had to be produced with real people.
One thing to say about Tracey on set is that, and it wasn't even just in set, it was in the film community in Atlanta at that time, but she was beloved by everybody. There was not a grip, a PA, a stylist, anybody who wasn't frankly sucking up to Tracey. And I don't know that sucking up's the right word. I'm going to take that back. I used to think, oh my God, these people are all sucking up to Tracey all the time. But I realize now, part of it is because she was so great. She was a kind, good person who actually looked out for everyone. And if you worked hard and you contributed, she would take care of you and bring you on the next thing. But it was also, there were not other high-powered women in her position in Atlanta who were local, who were doing the kind of projects that she was doing. And I think everyone wanted to be near her. Everyone wanted to be a part of whatever Tracey Baker was working on.
So I moved to Atlanta in 1996, and one name kept coming up everywhere I went. It was Tracey Baker-Simmons. She was a hot producer. She was doing big things in town, working with, a lot of musicians and everything like that. So I heard about her before I actually met her.
And I met Rico Wade, who was the president of organized Noize. And Rico really was enthusiastic about, he did just finish the Outkast's first album, was heading into their second album. Goody Mob was into their first album, and he was also negotiating a label deal with Interscope, and he wanted to have a film and television company, and I wanted to have a new challenge.
We brought Tracey Baker in because we had a vision for Red Clay Film and Television, to where we knew that was the next. That was the next phase. The music was going so well, and she was so overqualified with what she knew. Or whatever, it was like a steal. It was like getting somebody that really was corporate. It was really made for a bigger company, but getting them in a small company, you got that expertise. So where now you kind of you're your own boss. People won't be giving you budgets. You'll be giving them the budgets, and this is what we want to do. And we know how much everything costs.
I didn't do a lot of making film and television, but I did do a lot of business plans for a film and television company. But I did do a lot of organizing and coordinating and traveling with him.
And she's a lady. She's a beautiful lady that don't get flustered by just because men are staring at you. You know what I'm saying? You got to be calm up on the fire too. I mean, whatever you behind, wherever you are, especially being a lady in whatever type of business, when men gotta be cocky, when men being cocky all day, but they still gotta be, respectful of women. But you might not get a chance to be around a lot of men if you can't just be around the boys. And Tracey could be around the boys, or whatever, but still be a lady.
One day I just sort of was like, wait a minute, I'm not producing. I'm literally, I don't know what you want to call me. Maybe it's a glorified executive assistant or executive manager, but I was not producing. And it was sad. It saddened me because I really missed it. And I actually think at that moment is when I really realized that producing was for me.